Hey, what is up guys? Welcome to the first ever episode of the new series I'm calling Overwatch Hero Guide. Now for the first video, I thought it'd be fun to cover everyone's favorite hero, Mei. Now Mei is not an easy hero to play as. In fact, she's classified as a level 3 difficulty, making her one of the hardest in the game. But if you do master her, then she's insanely good as a defensive and offensive hero. This guide will be broken down into 3 parts, the first being everything about her and her abilities and weapons, the second part being tips and tricks to master playing, and the third being the ones to avoid and the heroes to go after as Mei. A little bit about Mei as a hero before we dive more in depth is she's a defensive hero with around 250 health and an average movement speed. Now Mei's primary weapon is her endothermic blaster. Her blaster can be fired in either one of 2 ways, the first being Frost Stream. In this mode, Mei's blaster unleashes a concentrated, short-range stream of frost that damages, slows, and ultimately freezes enemies. The ammo capacity is around 200 and will drain 20 rounds per second, which will deal about 45 damage per second. The stream will completely freeze enemies after 80 damage is dealt, or about 2 seconds. The freeze will last approximately 1.5 seconds. During this time, the enemy will be frozen in place and unable to move. Some things to note about Mei's Frost Stream is it does not penetrate through shields or barriers and can be fired continuously for about 10 seconds before needing to be reloaded. Also, this only has a range of about 15 feet, so try and stay close. Now, not every hero can be easily frozen by Mei's stream. Some will escape due to their abilities. Some examples of this could be McCree's combat roll, Pharah's jetpacks, Widowmaker's grappling hook, and Diva's boosters. Mei's endothermic blaster can also be used with a secondary fire, which will shoot icicle projectiles. When using her weapon in this mode, it will have the same amount of ammo at 200, but each shot will cost you 25 ammo per shot. It will deal about 22 to 75 damage depending on your range. This fire rate is much slower at only 1 shot every half a second due to a charge up time. Now you can get headshots when using this mode compared to no headshots in the Frost Stream mode. Now on to Mei's abilities. Mei has 2 passive abilities and her ultimate. The first ability, arguably her most important, is her Cryo Freeze. When using this, Mei instantly surrounds herself with a block of thick ice. During this, she heals and ignores damage while encased, but cannot move or use her abilities. This will last for only 4 seconds and heals a maximum of 150 of Mei's 250 health. The cooldown for this is only about 12 seconds and is activated by using the shift key. Some interesting things to note about her Cryo Freeze: there is nothing that can destroy her Cryo Freeze, while she is completely invulnerable while using it. Also, while using Cryo Freeze, she will still be able to contest an objective, and lastly, Cryo Freeze will remove Zenyatta's Orb of Discord. Her next ability is her Ice Wall. When using this, Mei generates an enormous ice wall that obstructs the line of sight, stops movement, and blocks attacks. This will last for only 4.5 seconds and has a 10-second cooldown. One thing to note is the ice wall cannot be used to stack on top of one another. A few interesting things to note about her ice wall is that the ice wall consists of 5 pillars right next to each other to form the wall. Each pillar has its own hit points of 500 health, and can be destroyed before the duration is up. Ice walls can be put down horizontally in front of you, or vertically in front of you by pressing the hotkey twice. If you put an ice wall directly on top of Torbjorn's turret, it will simply disable it for the duration of the ice wall, but once the ice wall is over, the turret will go back to shooting again. Now on to Mei's ultimate. Her ultimate is Blizzard. During this, she deploys a weather modification drone, that little blue thing, that emits a gust of wind and snow in the wide area. Enemies caught in the blizzard are slowed and take damage. Those who linger too long are frozen solid. The build up to this is about 1.5 seconds and will last for 5 seconds. The interesting thing is, the freeze starts at 3.5 seconds and lasts the duration of the blizzard. It will do a total of 97 damage or 19.4 damage per second with a range of about 8 meters. Some things to note is that Mei's ultimate has a large area of effect that damages, slows, and eventually freezes her enemies while used. Mei tosses out the drone about 30 feet in front of her and activates immediately. Also, Blizzard cannot be blocked by shields, barriers, or payloads. Okay, cool, so after reading all those facts and everything and sounding like a complete robot, let's get into the good part. I'm going to tell you how to use her to the best of your advantage. Now, Mei has a couple of different ways to inflict damage. Probably her most versatile tool is her endothermic blaster, like I said before. Her primary fire and her secondary fire can be chained together to take out most enemies. See, the goal is to use her Frost Stream to slow and ultimately freeze the enemy, and then you want to quickly go up to them, use a secondary fire, take them out with one quick headshot. This isn't going to work for every enemy, but a lot of the squishier enemies it should work for just fine. Now, this is the best case scenario when it is you one-on-one with an enemy, but if you're facing up to multiple enemies, your goal should be to freeze them all as you best can, and then cryo-freeze yourself in case you lost any damage, gain any damage, or lost any health, and you're going to have another teammate with you, and they'll be able to take them out as you heal, and then you can freeze them again once you're out of your little ice cocoon. Now, this can be a deadly combination. Okay, cool, so that tactic is great for short range, but you're probably asking me, what about long range? So I've seen people, including myself, even outsnipe a Hanzo or a Widowmaker. Now, not very good Hanzos or Widowmaker, but you get the idea. One thing to remember is that there's a very short but noticeable delay between each shot, so your best chance of landing your shots would be on a still or scoped in enemy from afar. If you're however facing a moving enemy from a medium to long range, then leading your shots is a great skill to have, and if you can get a headshot, you can guarantee yourself a kill. One interesting thing about her icicle projectiles is even though they take up 25 ammo of your 200 capacity, if there's less than 25 ammo left, she will use up what's left and still deal the same amount of damage before reloading. Now onto how to use her abilities. When it comes to Mei's Cryo Freeze, it can be used in a multitude of different ways, the first being obviously to heal yourself. The best way to use this would be if you go and attack an enemy, freeze them but you miss your headshot at the end. You're going to want to Cryo Freeze yourself, heal up before you start freezing them again. Another use for this is an objective capping based gameplays. You would have no idea how many times that we just need a couple more seconds to capture objective, I run over to it, Cryo Freeze, I'm basically invulnerable, and we get the capture. Another great use is when trapped by Junkrat. You can use the Cryo Freeze not only to heal yourself, but cancel out the trap, and then he's going to be pissed off. It's a win-win. Some things that you should know about her Cryo Freeze is that it also acts as a shield for your allies behind you. It will also absorb any damage that hits it, and arguably the most important use of the Cryo Freeze can be used to protect yourself from every enemy ultimate. This is obviously huge. See a Riptire coming? Freeze. See a Genji turn down Dragon Blade? Just freeze up. This can be applied to every single ultimate in the game. As for Mei's Ice Wall, if used right, it can change the flow of the game entirely. If timed correctly, you can use this ability to set up an emergency barrier between you and the enemy team, or block off choke points. One thing to remember though is it is a solid wall, so even though the enemy team cannot breach or shoot through it, neither can your team. This can also be used to block in your opponent. If you're in a one-on-one with a Tracer and you block them off, you can instantly get that kill. But for some reason, if you find yourself in a room full of Tracers, then maybe blocking off their entrance would be a better idea and going back to where your team is. One great use of the ice wall is to traverse the map. Simply place it under you and you can reach higher places. For your teammates, this could work well too if you place it under them. Also, the ice wall can be placed in front of an enemy Tourbillon or Bastion, rendering them useless for a few seconds, granting your team to move, get the objective, and do all that good stuff. And lastly, blocking someone's ultimate. This is where the ice wall can really save the day. Imagine you and your whole team are clumped up, and off in the distance you see McCree. He says his famous one-liner, it's high noon, and then as soon as he's about to shoot, put up the ice wall. Not only have you saved the day, but you wasted an enemy's ultimate. Remember, this can be used to block any ultimate in the game. Divas, Tracers, any one of them, and extremely helpful for shielding your team. Lastly, some tips about using her ultimate. Mei's ultimate is one that will shine when chained with her other abilities, or even another hero's ultimate. The Blizzard and Cryo Freeze combo can be very useful in situations where you feel like you have the chance of dying after throwing out a Blizzard. The Cryo Freeze will protect you and heal you. Once you're out of the Cryo Freeze, you are presented with a bunch of frozen targets near you that you can easily pick off with a headshot. Another great use for this is simply peek around the corner, throw the Blizzard on either a choke point, an objective, something like that, and then wait for the enemies to be frozen, peek out again, take them out one by one with headshots. Now, a few weaknesses is that Genji can deflect Mei's Blizzard and will result in a Blizzard for Genji's team. Also, Diva's defense matrix can absorb Mei's Blizzard, rendering it completely useless. As for using the Blizzard with a teammate, that is where it can really shine. Simply freeze all the enemies in the area, but instead of going for the headshots, have McCree use his ultimate, or maybe Junkrat uses Riptire. Actually, any high damage ultimate for that matter can be a deadly combination, because all the other teammates on the other team are completely frozen. Alright, so lastly, I'd like to go over who to go after as Mei and who to avoid. Now, this is completely going to vary on player to player, it could vary to skill, playstyles, but this is what I experienced in my playtime. Now, she is strong when she's against Genji, Tracer, Diva, Winston, Bastion, and Roadhog. But She can also be very weak when it comes to Reaper, Junkrat, Pharah, Zarya, Widowmaker, Mercy, and Lucio. Now, when it comes to the following heroes, it can go either way depending on your skill, or depending on how the playstyle is, like I said before, but Soldier 76, McCree, Hanzo, Torbjorn, Reinhardt, Zenyatta, and Symmetra can be, kind of a toss-up in a gray area. Now, finally, this is what I have to say about Mei against Mei. May the best Mei win. And, that's trademarked. Alright guys, so I really hoped you enjoyed that video. Took a lot of effort, took a lot of work. I've been working on this for maybe 3 or 4 days continuously. I actually wrote a whole script, if you couldn't tell, I was reading off that. And yeah, so I'm gonna have a video about how I edited this, because it's probably gonna take me an hour or 2 to edit. So I'm gonna do maybe, a stream of that, or I don't know. I'll speed it up and I'll tell you what I'm doing. So anyways, thank you so much for watching. Leave a comment below if you want to see more of these. I'm gonna be doing a depth guide for every hero in Overwatch. But yeah. Remember to subscribe not to miss this. These are probably going to come out maybe every Saturday. These are going to come out, and I hope to see you then. Alright guys, as always, like, subscribe, all that good stuff. Appreciate that I got a pop filter for my microphone, and I will see you in the next one. As always, peace out.